Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie and welcome back, or welcome. Today I'm going to be following on from my pregnancy vlog last week, but there's been quite a few events, updates, and so I figured I would share them. There won't be much moving around, I'm afraid, but figured it made sense to keep the vlogging going for my own records and like memories, as well as, I don't know, like communicating with the people who care about me. So now we're at 25 weeks, and today is Wednesday, and I just got home from the hospital after spending 3 nights inpatient, and yeah, I will talk a little bit about why that happened, but in good news, like, I am probably okay, baby is definitely okay, as far as like checks and stuff that can be done, but yeah, I might as well just get right into it. So on Sunday morning, so today's Wednesday, but Sunday morning I started having a headache that didn't go away with any kind of pain relief, and in pregnancy this can be particularly concerning because they're worried about a thing called preeclampsia, which is when, well, typically when your blood pressure gets really high. I'm not quite sure what actually happens in the body, but it's a complication that is only resolved by delivering the baby. And so as someone at 25 weeks, they were, as they were previously, worried that if it was an early indicator of something serious, that they would have to do something quickly, and then they want me to be in the right place. I went in Sunday afternoon and they gave me some stronger pain relief, and that did not help either. And then began to kind of have some stars and blurry vision and things like that. This basically continued until now. This morning I was discharged because they realized that there wasn't really anything they could do in the hospital that couldn't be done at home. So they did let me go home, which was nice, with very strict instructions about what to do if things change. And they ran a bunch of tests, and I had a head CT and all of these things. But I think the main takeaway from that experience was, like, I felt really silly calling on Sunday morning and being like, I've got a headache that's not going away. But as I was kind of admitted and spent my first night and then had like a ton of blood tests and stuff the next day, it just kind of made me realize that, like, it is so much better to call. Like, my blood pressure was never super high, and so they weren't really, that's the kind of most common indicator of preeclampsia, and so they weren't worried about that, and everything else kind of came back relatively normal. So, but those were tests that I wouldn't have been able to have done if I'd kind of stayed at home. And the other thing, I guess, that I learned, and in my kind of experience, is that the midwives and doctors and everyone at the hospital, like, would much rather you call than sit at home with a potentially serious condition and just get checked out. Like, they do care. Obviously they don't know you, maybe, like, and all of those things, but like, I never felt like I was a nuisance once I was on the ward. Especially once I was on the ward. I mean, not when I got there, even in triage, but when you're on the way, you're like, oh man, I'm such a nuisance. I've called before. I'm always here, like, and I always feel particularly embarrassed about going because I need to go a lot because my body does not respond well to pregnancy. And so, but at the same time, they're serious when they say, like, you need to come back if anything's not right, and particularly these things. So yeah, obviously, while I wasn't happy to have been in an inpatient for 3 nights, like basically 3 days and 3 nights when you kind of work out the times, but I am glad that, like, now I have some peace of mind, because the headache hasn't really gone away, but they've been able to kind of manage it somewhat and have been able to run all the tests that make them feel like it's safe to send me home, and that there's not going to be a kind of fatal risk to me or baby. Obviously, again, things change, things happen, but I know now what to look for in a much kind of more clearer way, and I feel a lot more confident that they're serious when they say, if something's wrong, you need to call. Thankfully, baby has not arrived, and continues to kick me in the stomach quite aggressively, at all times of day and night. But also being around in the ward other people that are much further along in pregnancy, that are having quite serious complications. Like, I think if you asked every one of them, based off of my limited interactions with them, they would say they would be glad that they went in. It also made me really thankful that I live in the UK now, where we have the NHS, and I don't have to worry about the fact that if we were still living in the US, I would have had to pay for all of this, like through insurance and whatever. But like, I didn't have to worry when they said, oh, you need a CT scan, that I wouldn't be able to afford it, or that the cost of going in was not a factor in whether or not I should call triage. Maybe the cost of parking, because parking was incredibly expensive at the hospital. But like, I didn't have to worry about any of that. I guess the takeaways from 25 weeks are like, go see someone. Like, if you feel like you have a red flag symptom, I mean, like, check the website, what have you, of your local triage, but you also can call and them say you don't need to come in. Like, or you can call and you can go to triage and be done in 3 hours, or like even more or less, depending on where you live and what the times and stuff are like. I guess that's kind of it, but I figured I should present somewhat of an update. Oh yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say is, like, I did kind of find it a little bit helpful to do some Googling while waiting in the hospital, but also, like, I don't know if that was the right call for my mental health. Like knowing the statistics about what happens if a baby is born at 25 plus 4 days, which is what I am today. Oh, no, I'm not. It's even less than that. But anyway, like, looking at statistics for survival was helpful because they are now positive. Or they're more positive than they were even last week. But it also made me kind of really stressed. And I mean, I'm an anxious person anyway, and I am kind of being looked after by like mental health specialists and stuff, but it's still really nerve-wracking to kind of sit there and realize that you could be spending 100 plus days in the NICU with your baby if they're born that afternoon. Yeah, and like, no one ever mentioned, none of the doctors or midwives were like, you might have to deliver. But as I began to like go down the rabbit hole on Google of like what might need to happen, I began to worry about something that they weren't even worried about. So yeah, I guess that's the other thing. But anyway, that's my kind of chatty update. And I've got a ton of appointments next week to follow up, including a gestational diabetes test, which I'm not looking forward to because I hear it's horrible. Yeah, thank you for everyone who reached out to ask how I was doing. And if you want to continue on this journey with me, you can hit the subscribe button, you can hit the like button, and I'll see you in another video.